In this episode, we will talk about India versus Sri Lanka and India versus New Zealand ODI series and the importance of these two tournaments in leading up to the ICC World Cup later this year. All the analysis that we do in today's episode will not just be a standalone analysis for that series, but we'll try to tie it back to the preparation that India is going to make for that World Cup. So, we will also talk about possible team combinations, what could be India's approach into that World Cup. So India played two ODI series at home recently. The first one was against Sri Lanka, where they beat Sri Lanka 3-0 in that series. And it was expected because India are a very strong team at home. It will actually be unfair to call any other team as favorites when they are visiting India. It could be the strongest team in the world, but it would still be unfair to call them as favorites. And it was very evident from the series results as well, right? So India won the first match by 67 runs, the second match by 4 wickets with 40 balls remaining, which is still a comfortable margin of victory. Then the third ODI was won by 317 runs, which was a record margin of victory for any team in ODI cricket. That's how huge that victory was for India. So again, a very one-sided series. India were expected to win, and they did exactly that fairly comfortably. The second series, however, was against New Zealand, and this was going to be a much tougher proposition. New Zealand was the number one ranked team when they came to India at that point in time, and it was expected that they would put a much tougher fight. So this 3-0 margin of victory is so much more important for India than the earlier margin of victory, right? And it just emphasizes what I spoke about, the home advantage at the beginning of this section. So India won this series 3-0 again, and the margins of victory was again very comfortable. Barring that first ODI, which India won by 12 runs, the last two ODIs India won fairly comfortably. The first one was by 8 wickets with almost 30 overs remaining, and the third ODI was won by 90 runs, which is again a very comfortable margin of victory. Now, even that first ODI where India won by 12 runs, India should ideally have won by a lot more runs. Had it not been for that partnership between Bracewell and Santner, India would have very easily won that game by 150 or 100 runs or so on. Post this series, we will try to analyze India's performance in different areas. For the sake of the analysis, I have considered time periods from the series against Bangladesh and forward, because as I said earlier, we are contextualizing everything for the World Cup that's coming at the end of this year. So I feel that the series against Bangladesh was the first series that sort of kick-started India's preparation for that World Cup. So all our stats are starting from there. Right? So the first area that we will focus on is India's top order performance. Right? The top order has now scored more than 50% runs, and depending on how you look at it, it's a good and a bad thing. Actually, in my opinion, it's a very good thing because top order eventually will set the base for the middle and the lower order to fire. And in ODI cricket, it's very important for the top order to do really well, right? So the better your top order performs, the better you're placed to score big in a match. And that will be reflected in the scores that India have set batting first. So if we look at India's scores batting first, we will see that apart from that first ODI against Bangladesh, India have almost touched 150 in every game. Rather, they have crossed 150 barring that one ODI against New Zealand where they scored 349, which was still a very big score, but India just continues to score huge runs in the first innings of a match, and that is primarily because of their top order success. So we have seen 2 double centuries in this period. So first it started off with Ishan Kishan scoring that 210 against Bangladesh, and then Shubman Gill scoring another 200 against New Zealand in that first ODI. So India has really seen the resurgence of the top order. Gill, Rohit and Kohli seem to be in a brilliant form over the period, and as a result, the top order has scored 66% of the runs in the last 9 games. Now, let us try to analyze the statistics of the players as well, right? So if we were to look at India's top order, it's primarily Gill, Kohli and Sharma. They've played different numbers of matches. Gill has played 6, Kohli has played all 9, Sharma played 7, but their averages and strike rates are outstanding, right? So that combination of average and strike rate is important. Again, it's not high average but low strike rate, or a high strike rate or a low average, right? This is like that golden balance point point between average and strike rate. So Kohli is scoring at 58 runs an innings and a strike rate of 127, which is brilliant. Sharma is also scoring at an average of about 50 and a strike rate of 104. His role though is giving India those quick starts in the beginning. He has already mentioned in one of his interviews that he's not focused on scoring hundreds only. His main goal is to give India that start, to take on the bowlers, to start dominating the game from the get-go. And that's why we see, an average of 50. He could very easily be averaging 60 or 70 if he just chooses to bide his time, play safely, but he's still, a valuable player at the top of the order. And then we have Shubman Gill, who is in the form of his life, right? This is what a purple patch looks like, if KL Rahul fans want to know that. He has been averaging 113 in the last 6 games with a strike rate of 126, which is brilliant. And in that, he's scored 300s. So to summarize, the top order has been doing really well by scoring huge number of runs at a very fast pace as well, which gives India that pace to go on and score these massive scores in the first innings of the game. And this is very important in at least today's fast-paced T20 influenced ODI world, and it's going to do wonders for Team India in the World Cup. Another area to discuss in this analysis is India's performance in the first power play, that is between over number 1 and 10 when they are bowling. And through analysis and discussions, we will see that India has largely struggled in this area over the past 3 years. For the sake of my analysis, I have taken numbers from 1st of Jan 2020 to 26th of Jan 2023, that is right after the India vs New Zealand series was over. And we'll see that Siraj has been extremely crucial in that power play performance, right? So he has taken 25 out of the 60 wickets that India have taken in the first 10 overs. Let's look at why I say India's performance has been average. So India is ranked 6th in the world, only ahead of Sri Lanka, South Africa and West Indies in terms of average wickets per power play, right? So if England is taking close to 2 wickets in the first 10 overs, India is taking close to 1 wicket in the first 10 overs. This is where India has struggled to restrict the opposition in the power play, and then the opposition has went on to score big runs. If we look at where Siraj has been contributing now, you would see that Siraj has been the leading wicket taker in the world, not just for India, in terms of wickets in power plays. In the 20 innings that Siraj has bowled in, and has bowled around 92 overs in those 20 innings, he has taken 25 wickets with the economy of 3.76. So he has been a brilliant performer for India in those power plays. And undoubtedly, he is today the number 1 ODI bowler in the world. And it's also important that others around him start to step up. I think with the presence of Jasprit Bumrah, the power play performance may get a little better going forward. The third point that I wanted to discuss was India's batting lineup and see what are the areas where India still needs to take a decision on who fits in and what role that person plays. I think more or less we are sorted, but as we'll realize during this analysis, there are still 3 open places. This is my possible batting lineup. I think the top order is pretty much set. We have Sharma, Gill, Kohli. I don't see anyone else replacing them. Deer and Rahul, once they are fit and available, should bat at 4 and 5. Going ahead, I'll make a case for KL Rahul as to why KL Rahul is the best bet at number 5 for India. At number 6, 7 and 8, that's where lies the middle order mud. We have to choose between Hardik Pandya and Shardul Thakur as our fast bowling all-rounder. We have to choose Ravi Jadeja or Axar Patel as our spin bowling all-rounder. Then you have to choose whether you need a spinner or a pacer at number 8. Then you have Kuldeep Yadav, Jasprit Bumrah and Mohammad Siraj. So that number 6, 7 and 8 are going to be very crucial for India. Now, why did I come up with this lineup? So I have seen Rohit Sharma's captaincy, and he likes to have options in the bowling department. He likes to have 3 spinners and 3 pacers so that he has the required variety to choose whichever option he wants to go with. And he knows Indian conditions really well, so the ball may spin, the pitches may become slower, and that's where he'll need the spinners. If it's a bowling second situation, then he may need fast bowler purely because of the dew factor, so that they can grip the ball better than the spinners and still be effective if there is dew around. So those 6, 7 and 8 become crucial. I think for 6, Hardik Pandya is more or less sorted, right? And some people may call me blasphemous as to why am I even considering Shardul Thakur in place of Hardik Pandya, but we should analyze the numbers and see who fits better. Each one has their own strengths and weaknesses, and it's about what Rohit wants to go ahead with. So now the confusion is between Ravindra Jadeja and Axar Patel at position number 7. I personally feel that Jadeja should be picked ahead of Axar Patel because he's a better batsman than Axar and he is a brilliant fielder. In terms of bowling, I would rate them equally. I still haven't looked at their numbers numbers, but fielding especially is where Ravindra Jadeja will make that difference. He brings in that X factor, gets us that one run out, takes a brilliant diving catch, just lifts the fielding spirits of the entire team. And then it is actually a choice between Yuzvendra Chahal and Umran Malik. Both of them play a similar role, although they are entirely different type of bowlers. So Yuzi and Umran Malik are both those middle over enforcers who try and take wicket. They may go for some runs, but both of them are capable of taking partnerships, taking crucial wickets, and preventing a team from scoring big runs. Depending on the pitch, this is the only position where I'm slightly uncertain on who should be picked. So this decision will purely be based on how the pitch is, how the ground is, and so on. I think Kuldeep Yadav in his recent form has picked himself. He has been brilliant in those middle overs, taking crucial wickets, and his batting has improved slightly. So you can rely on him to play 15-20 balls and score those 10-15 runs, which are going to be very crucial in some of these key matches. I feel Kuldeep Yadav has picked himself. Jasprit Bumrah and Mohammad Siraj again picked themselves. So this is my possible Indian lineup. So sometime back I was talking about the number 5 position and why KL Rahul picks himself. If we look at all the players in the ODI setup who are batting between position number 4 and 6, we will see that KL Rahul again hits that golden combination of a brilliant average and a great strike rate. So between the period of 1st Jan 2020 to 16th of Jan 2023, KL Rahul ranks number 5 in terms of runs scored. So he scored 808 runs at number 5. His average is 57.7, which is again a very brilliant average. Like in this list, he has the highest average, and his strike rate is also above 100. Rahul is able to play that dual role of an anchor if need be, so he can stay on the wicket for a long period of time and still grind to make runs. And we saw that in that second ODI against Sri Lanka, where the team was in a bit of a trouble, but Rahul stayed along, scored 50 odd at a very low strike rate, but guided the team home. So he can play that anchor role, and he can also play the explosive innings if the team needs very quick runs. India at the moment will not find a better number 5, and KL Rahul just seals his spot for that position. Then if we were to talk a little bit about number 6, where we wanted to compare Hardik Pandya and Shardul Thakur, and the thought just arrived at my mind to just see how both of them have performed. Both have their strengths and weaknesses. Hardik is a much better batsman, but in terms of bowling, Shardul Thakur is a slightly better bowler than Hardik Pandya, right? If you look at when Shardul Thakur picks up his wickets, he picks up the most important wickets. He will break partnerships. He has that golden arm to pick up crucial wickets when the team needs them most. Is it so easy for India to leave out Shardul Thakur? No. Eventually, Hardik Pandya may be picked ahead of Shardul, but it's not going to be an easy choice. And it really depends on how much depth in batting you want. Right now, the team is able to play fearless cricket because they know that there is depth in their batting. So Sharma, Gill, Kohli, all of them can go hammer and tongs on the top because they know they can bat deep till maybe position 7 or 8. And that's where Hardik Pandya plays that crucial role. He gives that solid batting option at number 6 for India to take those risks on top. And in the larger strategy of the team, I think they will still go with Hardik Pandya because they would like to play that fearless brand of cricket. But trust me, Shardul Thakur can also be a part of the team somewhere, right? So maybe in place of Umran Malik, they can pick up Shardul Thakur. And here I have not even discussed Washington Sundar, who's again done a brilliant job in the limited opportunities that he has got. There is a lot of competition for places. This is the possible lineup as of today. There is still 8-9 months to go for the World Cup. It will change, but it will be nice to track what changed in these positions. Stay tuned to know more. So if we look at where India stands in terms of preparation for their World Cup, India have already won 7 out of the last 9 matches that they've played against Bangladesh, Sri Lanka and New Zealand. They still have 4 more series coming up. So we play 2 series against Australia and India. Then we play 1 series against West Indies in the West Indies. And then there is the Asia Cup. And I'm not really sure whether this is going to be a 20 over Asia Cup or a 50 over Asia Cup. So India have some matches to go before the 2023 World Cup begins. And it will be interesting to see what team combinations they try, what strategies they try going forward. Do they stick to the current strategy of going heavy on the top and scoring big runs, or do they go with the cautious strategy of being conservative and then slamming the ball at the end? It's going to be an interesting journey forward. But the more interesting thing is the test series between India and Australia. There is so much online in this series. Obviously, it's India versus Australia, so it's huge anyway. But the place in World Test Championship final is at stake. So India needs to beat Australia by any margin to qualify for the World Test Championship final. It's going to be tough, as we spoke in our previous episode, but it's going to be a mouth-watering proposition. So let's stay tuned for that analysis. Till then, thank you for watching. Have a good one. Bye.
Thank you for watching the video. If you liked it, please press the like button and share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Bye.